educate us about this omega 3, omega 6 ratio and everything.
Okay. So in human beings, the ideal omega 3 to omega 6 ratio should be 1:2. So one part omega 3, two parts is acceptable of omega 6. If you push it a little, modernization, 1:4 can also be okay. But you'll be shocked to know that this omega 3 to omega 6 right now is 1:22. In some populations, even 1:30. So, this omega 6, if it crosses the omega 3, I'm sure you're aware.
It's good.
It's very good. Brain health, omega 3.
HDL.
Yes, HDL
It increases.
lowers your triglycerides, plays a very important role. Brain development, children, okay. Aging. Omega 3 has a lot of roles to play, and you get it via seafood, largely fish, right? Omega 6 is where it is highly inflammatory, and the research is currently pointing out to what we call vegetable oils or seed oil usage has become uh, way more than very pervasive.
So
Commercial oils like,
educate the audience about seed oil. What is seed oil?
okay, it is marketed as vegetable oils, but they don't really come from a vegetable. They are also, so you have plant fat and you have animal fat. Okay, so let's start there. Animal fat is your ghee, your butter, even white makhan, the white butter that North Indians use. That's, lard, pork lard. You have goat tallow, you have beef tallow, you have all of that. So that is animal fat, which is considered a very natural source because it is attached to the protein. Okay, and yes, it is high in saturated fat, but we can discuss, that's a completely different discussion as to how much of it is good. So these are good for us. Okay, now there is plant fat, and even in plant fat there are certain plant oils that are good. Olive oil is very good. Coconut oil, high in saturated fat but very good. Avocado oil, very good. Now, in the recent 60 years, we have seen oils made out of things that are not necessarily source of oil. So, if you look at rice bran oil, the name itself tells you that you are crushing bran to an extent and processing it to an extent to derive oil out of it. Soya bean oil, that's the second one. Rapeseed oil, canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil. So these are basically coming out of seeds or outer structures of a plant that are not supposed to be oils. It's very simple. You crush an olive, you can feel the olive in your hand.
Yeah.
You may not be able to do that with a peanut, but you lightly blend peanut, you're getting peanut butter out of it. There are these kind of plants that we are, or seeds that we have to use thousands and million tons of them, and they have to go through a highly industrialized process of bleaching, etc., which is now being used and marketed worldwide. Which is one of the theories, is that they are high, not, it's not a theory, yes, they are high in omega 6, and one of the reasons of cofactor of insulin resistance, high inflammatory markers, raising risks of obesity is the usage of seed oils. Now, India is a bit of an exception. We've used three other kinds of oils in our mix: peanut oil, sesame oil, depending upon where you come from. We've also used mustard oil. Mustard oil, I'm sure you're aware, it's banned in the US.
Yes.
And in the
It's not
European
available.
Union. Okay, so there are certain regulations outside the country because of a certain kind of an acid. I won't get technical, but that it's banned for that because it's supposed to be not good for humans. But in India, these two oils, sesame oil and mustard oil.
Mustard oil is common in North India.
Yes,
Right.
even Bengal.
Bengal.
Fish, certain fish.
Correct.
Then sarson ka saag,
Ah.
that's made. Again, it comes to how we were using it. Sesame oil, nallanai, that we call in Tamil, generally very common. But both these are not used to high smoke points, and they are not regular features in our diet traditionally. They are flavoring agents, They are used in certain seasons for certain cuisine. So they were not mainstay of Indian traditional cooking. Even the sesame oil in the south, it was used for either idli pudi or a certain kind of a sambar that was made. It was not
It
you
was
didn't.
not the universal oil.
It was not you were not cooking day in day out in it. Neither were you cooking day in day out in mustard oil. So I get a lot of question on what about sesame oil and mustard oil. It's been used. Use it the way it is meant to be used, as a tadka, as a flavoring agent in a certain recipe in a certain season. You're all right. Your mainstay will always be the other combination. Now, because of the now obviously there's been large scale production of seed oil, soya bean is and canola. Every commercial kitchen, you can be sure it is that. Not even peanut oil. It's not even peanut oil. Okay, so
Commercial kitchen, you're talking about restaurants.
hotels, restaurants, when you do large
Because they're
catering,
cheapest.
cheaper,
Widely
Shelf
available.
life.
Shelf life is longer.
much longer. You can buy soybean oil and it'll stay for 5 years. So it's been bleached. And so these are the oils. Obviously, they're cheaper. Like we just discussed the cost of ghee. Let's talk the cost of olive oil in India. First and foremost, you won't get olive oil that's not blended with something. It's not suited for Indian cooking. Any minimum is 800 rupees. Avocado oil, forget it. Avocado only we can't afford in India.
Even
Forget
in
the
US,
oil.
it's avocado oil is expensive.
Very expensive. Now, cold pressed oil, expensive. So these are the oils that are available depending upon which sale and which big basket, whatever you go into, at from 80 rupees to 150. Versus if you look at cold pressed, all the other oils, they start a good cold pressed coconut oil is probably 300 to 500 rupees minimum. Ghee is 1K, like I said, 1,000 rupees, right? So
So clearly 5 to 10 times more.
at bare minimum 3 times, even in tier 1, tier 2. Because of this, and of course all of this commercial usage, these ratios have tilted.